Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Mahala Monday 2022. It is Happy New Year.
That's right. Happy New Year to you, Dougal, and Happy New Year to all our viewers out there. And welcome to 2022 and our first Mahala Monday show on the first show for the year.
Yeah, absolutely exciting. Yes, thanks, Rhoda, and Happy New Year, everybody. I tell you what, let's hope this new year is just going to be good to you. It brings you everything that your heart desires, and of course, may the gods always smile on us. But 2022,
Exactly.
I tell you what, every Monday we're here, and all of a sudden, there seems to be something in the air.
There is definitely, Dougal. I feel it as well. And all the excitement, I don't know, I'm quite excited about 2022. Very excited.
Yeah, and this brings us straight into the topic that we're going to talk about today. But first, of course, there's an interactive show. So your input is well appreciated. And of course, to be part of the show, very, very easy. The details at the bottom of the screen there at Nickay Productions, Facebook, YouTube. We look forward to your questions, your comments, your contribution. Keep them as stellar as they have been throughout the past. And just imagine where we will go with these amazing comments once again for this new year. So looking forward to that. And let's get straight into the topic for today, Rhoda.
Definitely.
You introduced the topic today.
Today I'm quite excited because this, I think, has really been part of Mahala Monday show as well. From the word go, I would say this is what we've done. It's the word collaboration. And getting the information and just being that person that we're able to assist all our institutions, all our companies out there, all our small businesses, we're able to say, come, let's take your hand, let me help you. That's exactly how I feel about this collaboration.
And we've heard it. I remember even last year, and if you watch any of the previous shows, whenever somebody said collaboration, your eyes used to lit up all the time. And it is a word that we constantly hear. And I don't want to even call it a buzzword. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say it's a modern word. It's definitely something that has been around for a long time. But I'm sure most of us only, and I'm one of those people, I'm guilty of it in the last couple of years, and it's something that I've really woken up to. This is a very, very important concept. But now here is the crux of it. So whether you are a non-profit, whether you are any sort of organization, institution, an individual, if you're just looking at your family setup or whatever, this is a very, very important word. And we're going to be talking about it. But of course, not only is it going to be us, we got people that really know their things that will also be joining us. But before we get to them, Rhoda, if we had to define it, collaboration, because, I mean, people would say teamwork, and then you would go, yeah, okay, and then collaboration. It's almost like collaboration in a way. I don't want to glorify it much more, but let's say it's like teamwork on steroids.
It's teamwork. Definitely.
Could it be that?
It's definitely that, Dougal. For me, teamwork, like you say, teamwork is us working here as a team, basically. But collaboration is having to extend that team and saying, you know what, let's join with another team and actually make it even more powerful. And let's get our resources and make this work at the end of the day. That is what collaboration means to me personally, as having to make that team bigger. Because teamwork for me is a company that's doing teamwork. It's a company. It's a single company entity that's actually doing this. Where collaboration is for me saying, look at all other people around us. Let's take the resources, let's work this together, let's do this together. Because I personally feel that sometimes people tend to focus in the business only on what they're doing here. And then they tend to forget that there's actually more they could do and more advantages out there if they actually just open their eyes and look at what's around them. So that they're able to take these resources and make it work and make it successful.
Well, having looked at our definition, we're going to see how we're going to get stuck into it, because that is it. And I agree with you there as well, because I think it is bringing it back like highly skills, combining it and working towards those common goals. And that is really what it is all about.
Exactly.
So whether you're an institution, a business, a non-profit, and you've been making use of this, of course, and you've got examples of it, we would like to hear the success. Whatever questions or comments you have, we want you in the show. Now, joining us to discuss this topic of collaboration, firstly, two wonderful gentlemen joining us on the show. And firstly, let me just say Happy New Year to both of you. And secondly, they are friends of the show. They really are. Now, I'm going to introduce Hubert Paulse to you first, because Hubert Paulse, is somebody we know. He's always here. He's always a contributor to the show with his comments, and all-round nice guy, an absolutely wonderful person. But Hubert has got a vast amount of experience in this field when it comes to non-profits, raising funds, and of course in the essence of collaboration. And he also plays a very, very important part in the For Humanity project, which we all know does amazing work. Joining us and Hubert today is Jason Falcon, who is the CEO of the Tygerberg Children's Hospitals Trust, and always doing amazing stuff. brilliant projects that they do. So, gents, to both of you, and as friends of the show, good morning and Happy New Year. How are you guys doing? Jace, are you all right?
Good morning, Happy New Year, Mahala Monday team. All the best for 2022 for yourselves and your listeners.
Yeah, now thank you very much, man. And likewise for you. Hubert, how's things your side? Morning, sir.
Good morning. And compliments of the season to you and to you, Jason, as well, and your team, and keep up the sterling work that you guys are doing.
So, gents, thank you very much. You would have heard Rhoda and I attempted to define collaboration. All right. Now, let me ask both of you this question. So, we're still in the pandemic times with the advent, of course, of the pandemic. Did we all of a sudden see that institutions, non-profits, and especially I want to talk from that perspective today as well, that non-profits all of a sudden, we needed to collaborate because all of a sudden the resources were limited, everything was limited. We all know what the pandemic has been like in the last few years. Did we all of a sudden see an uptake in collaboration and people trying to work together to achieve their goals? Hubert, if you want to go first, sorry.
Sorry, man. I think before we start, I just want to make mention that we need to realize there's no you in success. Or there is a you in success. So having said that, there has been an uptake on collaboration because I think people are beginning to lose that silo mentality more because, I'm certainly seeing collaboration everywhere these days. In fact, I've lost count of how many times it was mentioned on your show. You know, I think many prophets, or most prophets, and in this service sector that we are in, are facing shrinking funding streams. So for me, and you see it all the time, that the solution to breaking or turning walls into doors is this collaboration, and I'm beginning to see it.
Yeah. So it is starting to happen. Jason, did you with the last while with the pandemic, did you all of a sudden see an uptake into it?
Look, collaborative systems have been on the rise already for more than a decade globally. We can see this in the rise of methods such as design thinking, which are highly collaborative methodologies. Even before COVID, these kinds of thinking have already infiltrated South Africa through the academic spaces. But we as South Africans, I think where we are now as a country, we have leapt ahead past the methods, and we look at the promises that collaborative systems can give us. You know, what can we achieve, and rightly so, we're identifying the value that collaborative systems can add to all of us across South Africa in building a society and largely a world that we want.
Yeah.
But I think that in missing out on the middle part, we by and large getting it wrong, because there are some things that collaborative systems absolutely need to have in place for them to work.
Okay.
And I hope that we can talk through those later on in the show.
No, we will most definitely get onto all of that because it is definitely an exciting concept. But I just want to take a step back quickly because I know Rhoda want to ask you something, but I actually just want to go right to the top. And it might be touching on what you have just mentioned. Now, so at the beginning of the show, Rhoda and I try to define it. So if I have to put this raw and rough out to you, just to give the viewers in your experience, your work experience, your lived experience, what it exactly is. So when I look at collaboration, I look at it as, it is a kind of a teamwork, but it is also, just to make it roughly, as somebody with one set of skills, and let's call that person an expert, and the other person an expert, and even if they aren't experts, it doesn't matter. But doing one thing better than the other person does it, and then applying both those skills in order to get to that common goal. So does that make sense? That is how I look at it, to achieve that thing. And obviously on that journey, a lot of magic happens. So how would we define collaboration in today's age? Hubert, let's start with you.
I think if I can almost look at what you're saying and just take a step back, non-profits and business also needs to understand, what's at stake and why collaboration is important. The more you come to understand the advantage of a different perspective for shared goals and objectives, the easier they become to, for you to reach those goals and those objectives. partnerships and collaboration can go a long way in creating a stronger and better community for all of us. So in addition to pushing the mission forward, partnerships and collaboration can provide stability financially and non-financially while achieving those goals. So that to me is almost how I would define and why I think we need to collaborate.
And Jason, how would you define it shortly?
So my mechanical brain likes to take things right back to the basic nuts and bolts, break them apart and look at them in the components. I think that's very important, particularly for us South Africans, where we tend to hop on a word and carry a word a country mile before we actually realize what that word means. So I just want to take us back to the dictionary definition and makeup of the word collaborate. It's made up of two words. One is co, also related to com, which is related to community or groups of people or entities. The other part, laborate, is labor. So the word clearly tells us what collaboration is. So there's two elements there. Working together is what it comes out to. But there's a hidden meaning because we don't work together for no purpose. So we are collaborating towards a shared common goal. So I would say there are three things that make up the definition of what a collaboration is. It's groups of people or entities working together towards a common goal. So that for me is the basic nuts and bolts definition of what collaboration is. But that doesn't define artistically what it means. So I prefer to consider collaboration as a system. It's a human system with a particular makeup, particular mindset, particular way of thinking, and particular methods to reach the end. So me personally, I define collaboration as a human system for group problem solving.
Okay.
Excellent.
Why we do this, as opposed to doing it by ourselves, is because we get some benefits out of that. We get amplified or magnified outcomes, or we can gain agility, or we can gain a team to lean on what you said earlier, a team that can then also do other stuff once the collaborative system gels and works together. So these are all the advantages that we see. But how do we get from where we are now in a very conservative South African society that is completely geared towards siloism, whether it's in the family, whether it's in our religious institutions, our political systems, or our communities, or in the office. So those two things are juxtaposed from each other. It's an extremely conservative society. And on the other end, collaborative systems that require us to actually be very horizontal as opposed to vertical and work together towards a common goal. So, yeah. I think I'll pause there and we can carry on a little bit.
Definitely, I was just going to say now. Jason, I'm listening to you now, and I know we had a bit of a discussion before the show as well. And one of the things that had come out, especially for our country, South Africa, and I mean, we've all basically traveled in that, and our experiences I've experienced, I went to Dubai as well, and I needed to get something for one of my laptops or something. I needed to get a part. And, you know, I walked into this mall, and it was just a mall of computers. You could go from shop to shop to shop, and, I mean, they were right next to each other. And for me, it was fascinating because, I mean, you don't get that in South Africa. You'll never get a computer shop next to another computer shop because the competition. So in South Africa, where collaboration is concerned, we spoke about it, that it often doesn't work as planned. Could you, by any chance, Jason, what's your views on this? What's your view on that?
Well, for me, it comes down to what I said earlier. We as individuals, we see the benefit that collaborative systems can bring us. So we want that, but we're not prepared to change our behaviors and our mindsets to be able to engage in a collaborative system. So for me, it's first to acknowledge that we are not capable of collaborating with our current mindsets. I'm talking broadly across South African society, And then the question is, how do we change those mindsets towards something that supports collaborative systems? And that is a whole process on its own. There are many people, there are many who get that, but I think in the whole and in the general, the majority is not geared towards that because of our unique South African history and how our society has been built up over many, many years. And I'm not just talking about colonialism and apartheid. I'm talking about all systems collectively pointing us as individuals to behave towards you and me, them and us, silos of different people, and that just spreads out throughout society, which is basically the opposite of what collaborative systems require to work.
Well, and
So-
you, sorry, Dougal. But just on you, if you could give your point of view on that.
Yeah, I think Jason's spot on there. We need to move away from this mentality of more for you, less for me if we collaborate. and I think that's the fear of giving something an opportunity in order to benefit. We seem to want to, as NPOs and business as well, we seem to want to keep doing the same things expecting different results. And the sooner we break that mentality and give collaboration, and I hope we're counting the words that we use, the amount of times we mention collaboration, because I think we need to, it's crazy. I think the more we break that silo and lose that mentality, like I said, of more for you, less for me, and that fear of that, the sooner the charities that we're trying to raise funds for will benefit. So Jason, you are absolutely spot on in what you are saying there.
You know what, when I was listening now to Rhoda saying the thing about using the computer thing as example is in a souk, and it really hit it home because it's something that I could see in my mind. There's like literally 100 places all selling the same thing. And this is just from a business perspective, whereas you don't see that. Now, taking a little step back, and where you're saying, Jason, in terms of collaborative systems that we do have in the country, in terms of the international trend, are we way as a country and as a continent, are we like way below this? Because immediately I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking to myself, but the essence of Ubuntu is us.
It's us.
Bringing out our skills together, that's us. We have that, the rest of we define it as that. You know, are we that behind even when it comes to just the regular businesses, and then to what you have said, Hubert, when it comes to non-profit organizations? Jason?
So, yeah, Hubert, you're opening up a whole kind of worms in my brain here around that topic. Because for me, collaborative systems basically first existed since the beginning of man. It's how we survived saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths as small, tiny, weak species being able to survive and grow all the way up till where we are now. Because humans are intrinsically collaborative. Africans are intrinsically collaborative. And that is why we are so good at other things such as music. Group music is a collaborative system where we get caught in a moment and there's a synchronizing across people where other things are parked, thinking about profit and loss, or who's shining and who's not. All those kind of things are parked, and we just contribute together to create something beautiful. In the case of music, that's a collaborative, very beautiful collaborative system. So Africa has intrinsically very strong collaborative systems, but because of our recent history, I'm talking now, let's say 300 years of recent history, where we are now in a transforming Africa, we have two viewpoints that don't sit side by side, and I think that sits at the root of why Africa can't progress. It's because we have two opposing systems, and it splits us as Africans, it splits our thinking, and human beings can't exist with two split minds. It's impossible. It creates, essentially, that's what creates madness. So
avoid the madness.
I like that.
So, James, we want to get into because in both of your expertise and, of course, what you do on a regular and a daily basis, of course, is really to galvanize different things and working towards common goals. Now, also to all the viewers who's currently watching this, of course, you're sitting and you're going, this concept of collaboration is definitely grabbing me in a certain way. And if you are part of a non-profit, we would certainly like to hear your stories and where you have sort of seen that work from a practical side, and where it has given you levels of success. Now, Hubert, when we look at it, and really to break it down, because I also want to move into some examples, though, from both. Let's use the non-profit perspective and work from there. What would be the advantage of having, let's say, a memorandum of understanding between charities? How important is that to collaborate? Because if whatever the charity does, but in order when it comes to raising funds or whatever, how important would that be?
The reason why I advocate for a collaborative partnership are for the following reasons. Businesses and NPOs are concerned about reducing cost and maximizing revenue. I mean, it becomes tougher now, with COVID. So we're looking at reducing cost purely to, like I said, to maximize revenue. Non-profits have to be very conscious of this more than anything else. So partnerships and collaboration can alleviate, these expenses because it balances out the cost between both organizations. In other words, they share the burden of marketing the companies. So that's for me. If you're not making money, then you got to reduce costs, and this is one way for a non-profit to almost look at doing that. The other way of doing it, it can also create, or the other benefit, it can also create brand awareness and enhance marketing efforts. When two or more organizations come together to achieve a common goal, the chances of achieving that goal becomes more effectively. So, in a more timely manner, yes, and much higher, faster. So having a wide range, and especially when you have different charities and NPOs, having a wide range of executives and board members from different backgrounds also improves, for me, the way I see it, diversity and inclusiveness. And then it helps with that foot in the door, the type of leads that come from these board members, especially if you've got a small team, you can benefit from the bigger team and stuff like that. So all I see are advantages. I want to be part of the solution, not the problem. So there's cases where it's failed. There's also cases where I think there's more opportunities where it's succeed, where collaboration has succeeded. So I look at purely from a business point of view. It is shared cost. It reduces the cost, which means potentially more money for the end goal. And that's the way I see it as an advantage when it comes to collaboration.
And Hubert, thanks for that. We will come back to that because I wanna wrap up with having some really hard examples as well on that.
Yeah, and I just want to come to Jason because I know obviously Jason, you basically coming from the trust where you act. Could you give us examples of how the collaboration has worked in your side on your trust? Even just give us one of the examples. I know we were busy with one of them now recently.
Sure. So the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust has been from the ground up built as an organization that thrives on and creates spaces for collaborations to happen. And I just want to talk a little bit of how we got there, because there's a few things that you need in place before that can actually happen, because there's lots of potholes in working towards a collaborative system. Like I said earlier, you need a method, you need a certain type of thinking, and you need mindsets, where thinking reinforces your mindsets prepare you for the methods, and the methods stimulate your thinking. Wow. So that wheel keeps turning, and that's how collaborative systems work. It needs those things to keep the wheel turning, and then eventually people get caught up in the how can I say, the behavior natural behavior that is required for collaborative systems to happen. You don't have to think about models and behavior and all those kind of, it naturally just happens. So at the root of all of this, I like to call it the umbrella under which the other elements required to make collaborative systems work is the most important. Without that, everything else falls apart, and that is trust. Because I've chosen 5 collaborative pillars that need to be in place, and they all fit under this umbrella, this broad umbrella of trust. They are openness, empathy, courage, resilience, and positivity. If any one of those 5 elements falls away, your trust breaks down, and then you don't have a collaborative system. And this is the danger of walking blindly into partnerships and collaborations without understanding how you need to behave when you're in a collaborative system. So one of the most special collaborative programs that we ran last year was on the Archer's 90th birthday. We decided to, just at the drop of the hat, rally all the players in our collaborative system, which includes lots of micro businesses. It includes the trust and its social partners. And within 3 weeks, we had designed a celebration for the Archer's 90th, which involved some kids at the hospital, some kids who are now adults who have gone through the Archer's care, global partners in streetwear like Pata, who flew down to South Africa in the middle of a pandemic to come and celebrate the Archer's birthday with us. And then actually having all that collaborate on one day at the cathedral, where we could celebrate for that whole day with the Arch and create all different levels of engagement around something as simple as a t-shirt, which is the one I'm wearing right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that is such a beautiful thing to see unfold and to see the benefits of collaborating, where these things are, it's based on a dream. You have an idea and a dream at the very beginning, and there's no way of knowing whether it can be realized or not, which means that you need to have trust if you're going to pursue a dream collectively. And trust requires those 5 things. It requires openness, empathy, courage, resilience, positivity, because any one of those things breaks down the trust. For me, I can't emphasize trust more than anything else. And for me, trust is an experiment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It starts when we agree to trust each other. That is the start of the experiment, and that might be formalized in Hubert's case as an MOU. It might just be an handshake or an agreement in some sort that we are going to do this and collaborate together. But it's the start of the trust experiment, and the trust experiment is then stretched over time and is tested with whether promises are delivered along that timeline.
Yeah.
Wow.
If not delivered, why haven't they been delivered? Up until the point where the trust should extend past the goals. When the outcomes are reached, the collaborative system has worked.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have trust capacity at the end of that to then start your next collaborative program.
Yeah. And it is, as you say, Jason, and I mean, looking back at that whole celebration, I mean, there was a huge amount of success. And that is where you saw collaboration really to the forefront. Now, Hubert, if we can bring you in here as we wrap up the show this morning. For Humanity Projects, of course, they also doing, and I say they also doing amazing things with us as well. And why is it important? I mean, let's get another hard example out here for the viewer. I mean, it's amazing work that they've done, and the first thing that comes to mind is the huts that has happened. Why is it so important to have, let's say, a conduit, somebody who can effectively do it for you? Because what do they bring?
Look, they come as the way I see it, they being that conduit. It helps with the one thing NPOs and business where we fail. And Jason, you're right. It's a relationship, and we all know in a relationship, the one thing that works is communication. We need to. We mustn't assume we've communicated, and that's when you don't communicate. That's when things fall apart. having that intermediary or that conduit is the one person that can actually make sure we are communicating and that we're sticking to the goals, and all those pillars that Jason mentioned is adhered to, and we tick all those boxes. So for me, it's vitally important that we have somebody that can keep the team together. They can almost get each and everyone on board. If somebody falls off the rails, you've got the person that can bring them on board.
Yeah.
So having a team like you for humanity and what they've done in the past, for what I've seen especially with the huts, if it wasn't for them almost being the glue that kept everybody together, we might not have achieved half the things that we did. So for me, that's vitally important. It certainly helps with many things in terms of communication and everything else as well.
Yeah, it certainly does. Gentlemen, what can we say other than we're going to need another hour or two to talk about it? But
another show.
Yeah, we got to wrap up the show. But I quickly just want to touch on one comment that we got here from Ian Miller, which came on Facebook. And Ian, thank you very much. And gents, I just want you to listen to this. Ian says collaboration is the only way we reach more people and change as many lives as possible with the little resources we have. It's the only way forward. And when I read that, I kind of went, well, there we go.
There we go. There's the answer.
Where was Ian at the beginning of the show? But yeah,
I'm actually just listening to that, and where I see the ultimate goal is exactly to achieve, the goal at the end of it and make it a success. And that's exactly it. And I know in Ian's case as well, because he does quite a bit as well for the community. And if you collaborate and you've got somebody that's assisting you, because many a times you as a company or even as NGO, NPO, whatever, you are so focused on having to feed or do something that you know how you're going to get this funding, and you get sidetracked on trying to get all this done. So if you actually got somebody like we basically worked it out with for humanity, that's actually be able to say, okay, you know what, you concentrate on what you do good, we'll get those resources and assist you to be able to do your final goal, which is your destination, to be able to put the resources out there. That's it.
No, it is as simple as that. Gents, that's where we're going to leave it for today. But I tell you what, we've opened a whole... There's so much we've got to talk about. I mean, the one thing I think we'll all agree on, we actually got more questions now at the end of the show than we actually started off with. Jason and Hubert, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on to Mahala Monday and for helping us try and unpack this amazing concept of collaboration, which is definitely a key ingredient in success. Doesn't matter who you are. So thank you very much, gents, for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So there we have it, Rhoda. It is as simple as that. And it comes down again to having whatever it is you're doing. You can only get there. You need another skill to get to where you want to be, because you can only get to step one, and the other person will get you to step two. The other person gets you to step three.
So true.
Ta-da! Step 5, goal. There we have. And telling what Ian has said, depending on your resources, this is it. Hubert said it as well. We shouldn't work in silos. We should hire somebody to come and do it. And have it done. And have the understanding. Jason spoke about having the systems in place. And it brings me back to what For Humanity does, because it is that conduit. You know what I mean? The time is long gone, and it wasn't because of the pandemic that forced our hand. The time is long gone for non-profits and charities to work in isolation. It is long gone. It is long gone. It is not sustainable. It hasn't been sustainable, and that is why, as a non-profit, it has been difficult.
Oh, yeah.
It has been difficult. And as it hasn't been difficult, you're not being serious. It has been difficult. So, make it easier for yourself. And collaboration is then the essence. And I've got to be honest with you, I might be biased because I'm part of it, but definitely give For Humanity a shout.
Definitely give For Humanity a shout. And you know what, Dougal, it's exactly that. It's really just being a helping hand at the end of the day. And I personally feel while a lot of companies out there, and even NPOs, NGOs, is not successful, is the fact that that trust factor, they're scared, they're a bit scared to trust the next person. If these people like For Humanity and other companies out there that's saying, you know what, let me take your hand, let me help you. If you're only making, I'm just saying hypothetically now, just saying you're only making say 10,000 on a collection or charity, if a company can push you to 20 or 30,000 extra besides that thing, because then you can focus on what you need to do. You know what? If not, why not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but it is trust, it's the empathy, the courage, resilience, and positivity. It's exactly the pillars. I feel exactly the same as what Jason said is what you need at the end of the day to make it a great success. And not being silo thinking, oh, I can do this. A lot of companies failed because of the fact they can think they can do things by themselves. In today's world, you cannot do it by yourself.
No, you can't. You're absolutely right. So, I mean, if you look at all the success that Tygerberg Hospital Children Trust has had in terms of collaboration, and like Jason said, the whole thing is set up in a way that collaboration is the essence. You know, for certain projects, they bring in the very skillful people for those things. And so that whole conservative mindset that he spoke about doesn't exist there.
It doesn't exist
you know?
for them. That's why they're such great success.
It is. And I mean, we're talking attention on a global stage. We're talking now. Let's forget about the mother city. I mean, the stuff they did for Archer's birthday, we were talking about a global attention. That is what they had. The same with what For Humanity, what Hubert spoke to about the huts. The amount of talk that came from there and that narrative that was established, that is where we're talking about. This is it. It is the key ingredient. We all know it hasn't been easy. We all know it's been very difficult. And going forward, it's a new slate. It's the essence of the new year. This is the ingredient that you might need to reach the heights that only Everest will go. Oh, that's high. So let's do it. It is exactly what we're going to do. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, thank you very much to Hubert and to Jason for joining us on Mahala Monday. I'm feeling psyched, Rhoda. First show of the year. We're back Monday again.
That's right. Don't forget, you need to subscribe, hit that bell, and share this video, guys.
Absolutely awesome. Thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers, everybody. And once again, Happy New Year.